Each Monday this Advent season, we try to encourage you with the story behind a well-known Christmas carol. Let's take a moment to examine and contemplate O Little Town of Bethlehem. In 1865, an Anglican priest named Philip Brooks traveled from his home in Philadelphia on a trip to Israel. And one of the highlights of his trip was a Christmas Eve horseback ride to the then still small village of Bethlehem, where Jesus Christ had been born many, many centuries earlier. 3 years later, in 1868, Brooks decided to write a new Christmas carol for the children in his congregation, and he thought back to his journey in Israel for the inspiration to that song. Brooks asked his church's organist and worship leader, a man named Louis Redner, to compose a musical arrangement for the lyrics that he had written. In my opinion on the reason that this song has become such a classic is the perfect way that the tone and the melody match the history of Bethlehem. If you listen carefully, the composition, it's both gentle and a little bit ominous. It's both peaceful and a little bit melodramatic. And that's exactly true of the Bible's story of Bethlehem as well. As we talked about in our Advent service Sunday night, Bethlehem, throughout the Bible, is most often a place of violence and tragedy. In Genesis 35, we learn that Bethlehem contains the tomb of Rachel, who died in childbirth. In Judges 19, we learn that Bethlehem is the site of the Bible's most brutal victimization. In the book of Ruth, many good families have to leave Bethlehem because of a famine. In Matthew 2:16 to 18, Herod has all the boys under the age of 2 in the vicinity of Bethlehem murdered. Yet through all this, God's people never abandon hope. God's people never abandon hope in the Bible's promise that a great king would be born in Bethlehem. And you see, in this way, the story matches the melody, as each are both a little bit gentle and a little bit ominous. This being 2020, I'm guessing that your holiday season will also have moments of serenity as well as moments of wild unstableness. And this is exactly why this particular song has the power to move us as it does. Yet in thy dark streets shineth thy everlasting light. The hopes and fears of all the years are met in thee. Tonight, this is true in the village of Bethlehem, and it's true in our experiences as well. May you be encouraged by the melody and the words and the theology of this song. The world is dangerous. Injustice and violence are all around us. And yet, as God's people, we carry a hope that need not be extinguished.